Hey guys, Mike here. So I got another loaded video for you with a lot of information to digest. And just start off, make sure you put your questions in the comments if you got any for Saturday's video. Remember, the market's closed on Monday, so I will not do a Sunday video. That will be put on Monday to set up for the week. Okay, so I'm gonna enjoy my Sunday and part of my 3-day weekend. But definitely put your questions in the comments. And I don't know about you, man, but I'm telling you, like, you ever get that 2020 sensation? Remember when like all the meme stocks, like everything was just going crazy? Like every once in a while, and today I'm looking and I'm going to show you these stocks that are running up. It's insane how much they're running up and the kind of stocks they are. You're like, oh boy. And so it's just kind of nuts. And we'll go into that. And really what the market's doing right now, right? Remember, they dropped us like a rock on Tuesday with CPI being hot, right? And they've already run it up and completely closed all of that gap, right? But it's the stocks and everything they're running up, which kind of sitting there going, either some information got leaked or they just don't care about what's happening tomorrow, because tomorrow is a big day for the market. And there is, though, two things that can keep this party going. Okay, so we're going to go into those as well. But I will start off with this right here by saying, boy, they are throwing a lot of money into emerging markets. They set a record in inflows for emerging markets, $21 billion. Look at the spike right there. And you never seen anything like that one before. And so, money's moving. They're always going to find a bull market. And so let's monitor that to see how much more money continues to go into emerging markets, because we've seen this before, as you can see by those spikes. Now, news coming out tomorrow before the market is going to be PPI, okay? Producer Price Index. You'll have the core, PPI month over month, year over year. A lot of Fed speakers and stuff like that as well. But it's the PPI that matters, and that's the strange thing to me, that CPI comes in hot, so of course yields spike, dollars going up, market sells off, one of its worst days in like many months. But then look what they're pumping. Anything that got to do with this dollar sensitive, rate sensitive, right? Energy, real estate, biotech, small caps, right? And then you got other stuff coming out. And actually on the bottom today was XLK, right? So big technology was actually on the bottom. But when you look at this, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, 2020. NVIDIA comes out and says, hey, we invested some money in some companies here, right? So NNOX, bam, look at that freaking move up, man, 100% in less than 24 hours, right? Then they got another one they did, a SoundHound, right? AI play here. Boom, 82% up. This one actually held pretty much all day long, right? Then you got Supermicro. This thing, B of A comes out after a 900% move up and says, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to go ahead and put a buy on this, and we think the target's going to be around $1,040. And of course, what happens after that when that news comes out? Here comes the option sweeps. Call sweeps galore coming through for SMCI. Even as I'm recording this, there are more coming through, all with strike prices anywhere from 1180 to 1300. And so just amazing to see this thing continue to pump. And of course, don't forget small caps, right? Sold them off huge Tuesday, completely regained, broke above that. They're above the weekly expected move and everything. So anything rate sensitive, dollar sensitive has been pumping. And what's even crazier than that, though, and guys, before we continue, if you could hit that like button for me, I sure would appreciate it. It helps people find this video and everything. And also, if you like the content, think about subscribing, guys. How they sit here over the last 3 days and just traded the S&P and the IWM and the Qs in these tight wedges, right? And we've seen this before. That was right there was when we did CPI and fell off a cliff, right? But when we scroll back and look, that was the exact same thing that happened. So remember, history doesn't repeat, but it sure rhymes. And we scroll back and throw this up here, you can see that's what they were doing before CPI, right? They sit here, and if we draw some lines, you can put them wherever you want to put them. But if you just look at that, you can eyeball and say, that's definitely a really tight wedge right there. And of course, when CPI came out, what they do, they drop just like a hot rock. And so, when you look at this, and the Qs are the exact same way, looking at this. And then when you go to IWM, you see the exact same thing, right? You see this really tight wedge coming up in here, obviously. And so, it's just amazing to see what they're doing. It don't mean these can't break up, right? They don't always break down, of course. And so we'll see if that's the case, because don't forget, we also have monthly OPEX tomorrow and a 3-day weekend on top of it. Now, the two things that can keep this party going, especially for these kind of stocks, and it's the dollar and the yields, okay? And when we look, exactly what we talked about, we had this daily fair value gap. It came up, rejected down, which you're supposed to do, came back up, mitigate even more, sold back down, And now, is it going to turn up to mitigate the entire thing and balance it out? Or is it going to continue down? If it continues down, you'll see that party continue on. If it starts to move back up, that is not going to be a positive thing for stocks, especially if yields follow with it. And a lot of this will have to do with PPI tomorrow. You're either going to see the dollar fall off a cliff tomorrow and yields fall off a cliff, or you're going to see a spike if PPI comes in hotter than expected, okay? And well, I'm going to put this trend line here for the heck of it, because if it breaks this trend line, that means we're heading down as well. Now, we have seen this before. So when you look at the 10-year yield right here, you can see what happened. Had this daily fair value gap right here. It came up, mitigated some of it, by half of it, sold back down. That's normal. Came back up, mitigated the entire thing, rejected down, which is normal, and then just blew right through it because there wasn't anything to mitigate. So it just rocketed. Okay, and so that's what we get to see. So if you see 10-year yield dropping, dollar dropping, stocks are roaring. If the opposite happens, we come in hot PPI, these will spike like they did on Tuesday, and the market will go down. Whether or not, when I say down, I literally don't mean crash. I'm talking about just go down, maybe 1%, 2%, whatever, okay? So don't freak out. Now, which can lead to something bigger, we'll see. But what you're also seeing, it's almost like the November all over again, right? Where you see an RSP, it was up twice as much as the S&P today, right? QQEW was up 3 times what the QQQ was. And understand, when you look at these, RSP is the QQEW, that is all-time highs. The RSP is almost there. You can see it's only like 2% away now. And so it's not like these haven't been performing well. It's just when you compare them, because of the Mag 7 being carrying the weight here, you see the big gap, when normally you don't see that big of a gap. When you do, it's usually not good. You know, that's what we're talking about here. And this is where a lot of other stocks, and this is what we seem to be waiting on. Like, are we finally going to get this breath? Because if you get a lot more breath, like you saw in November, what happens to the market? It rockets, right? When a lot more stocks start participating. It doesn't mean the Mag 7 tank or anything. They can just go sideways, trade a little bit up, 0.5% a day, instead of this crazy 3 to 4% a day they've been doing. And then the market will go up much faster, right? When you have that many stocks roaring up, more money will come flowing in. You can see the QQW. I mean, that's a bigger gap than we've ever had, right? When we had the bigger gap before, that one obviously had a big sell-off. And so, you know, again, rolling over to IWM, this is another one, small caps, right, moving up, still in that gap right there, above its weekly options range right now. But this is where we got last time. It's like, okay, can we break the 2023 high and continue to move higher? That's what we're looking at. And again, tomorrow is going to really signify if that's going to happen right now or it's going to be put on hold. But when you look, don't forget the NASDAQ composite. I think I said this a month ago. So they're going to really get us all the way up here and then drop us like a hot rock. Only 2% away from all-time highs. This one holds a lot more stock than NASDAQ 100, okay? It's not all tech-heavy and like it used to be, and so this has a lot more stock. So as this moves up, that means breadth has been moving out just beyond tech. And what's funny, when you look at this on a logarithmic scale, this trend line right here, we're going to keep it in here just for the fun of it. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but when you look at where you might see a nice rejection on this thing is actually on that trend line, because you can see, I mean, it has been support resistance many, many times for over a decade, like 14 years now. And so let's just kind of keep that in mind. We'll keep that on there and I'll keep you updated. Now, Tesla, finally, this inverse head and shoulders we've been talking about, finally formed that right shoulder. Again, we got up in that gap today. I recorded this one a little bit earlier, but for our members video. But when you look up there, it finally got 50% of the gap actually filled. Had a big day today. The funny thing was, I didn't even see call sweeps rolling in for this. Not big. I saw a few. Let me know if you did. I didn't get any kind of notifications on that. So, you know, that was kind of crazy. But again, we've talked about this one. I mean, it had that bullish MACD cross on the daily. RSI closed above 30.31. So 207 would definitely be the short-term target for this one if it continues on. Now, of course, Tesla's the stocks that lifts. Now, of course, Tesla being the EV king, it lifts all EV stocks. I mean, look at this garbage. Workhorse up 13%. Nikola, I mean, how they're still in business, I don't know. 27-cent stocks, 74-cent stocks is crazy. But, you know, everything but BYDDF ended up going up thanks to Tesla. And if Tesla continues to go up, these can continue to go up as well. Now, you might notice Apple was red today. Why is that? Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness, the man himself, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, sold 10 million shares, and you go, oh, that's so many. And then you look and go, oh, that's only 1% of what he has? Yeah, he has, Berkshire Hathaway, that is, has millions of shares of Apple. He did sell out of his D.R. Horton, by the way, just FYI, and Stone Company and all that stuff. But yes, he sold some shares. So, of course, Apple went red. But guess what? Don't worry. Guess what? remember, you got to have a teaser. Can't just let it crash down or anything. So what happens? It comes right into that trend line, bounces once again. That trend line's been in place since December of 2022. So I said if it breaks the 200, watch the trend line. And of course, after hours, what they do, they said, wait a minute, we need an AI pump. So now Apple's coming up with some AI thing, and it's pumping in after hours right now. So shocker there that they happen to come up with that news as it bounces off this trend line. And you can see right here this morning, I mean, it came down to almost a penny, right? And just went bink, bink. Oh, no, okay, we're gone. See you later. Going to start moving up some more. And so, of course, we shouldn't be shocked or anything. I don't know if you are, but, you know, no surprise there. And again, they'll pump in after hours. And I know some other stocks that are pumping in after hours as well. And so I'll bring in some more tomorrow talking about earnings, like which ones are actually performing well, because you can see there's some that are terrible. Like, I mean, just not even come close to beating earnings. And then there's sectors that are just doing really well and pumping like crazy. And you can imagine tech is actually one of them. So, you know, we'll see if PPI comes in hot tomorrow. We'll see if the market even cares, because it is monthly OPEX. And when you get a monthly OPEX, you get a whole lot of tomfoolery on top of a 3-day weekend, which is kind of funny because most of the time people won't be buying a lot because they don't want to hold over the weekend. But, you know, if one thing we do know, it's going to be extremely volatile. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But yeah, I mean, you just, but I'm looking at what's pumping. I'm like, oof, okay, great. You know, and again, I've been part of that tomfoolery sometimes where, you know, enjoying some of those crazy run-ups on some of these stocks. But again, and I enjoy the gains, but you know, when you look at it, you're like, yeah, this ain't going to end well. And it finally does come crashing down. It's just crazy that it's happening. So that's why I get that 2020 sensation when I get the tingle in the back of my neck. Let me know if you get that sometimes as well. But, you know, I mean, crypto's still roaring. We'll see what happens over the weekend with that one, because some of those miners and everything else are just up huge and stuff. And, you know, I own miners, so I've been happy about that too. But it's like, okay, you know, when's the music going to take a break for just a minute here? That's what you got to look at. So, but, you know, if anything this week, I always say learn, take lessons or anything, or remember stuff. It's like, just remember they dropped us like a hot rock on CPI, right? Now we're back above where they dropped us like a hot rock at, right? Does anything change? No, CPI still came in hot, right? And so the old saying, that's where this old saying comes from, you know, that it can, the stock market can stay irrational longer than you stay solvent. So I know people, they just keep trying to short this and keep trying to short it and short it. And it's like, okay, I mean, people should keep trying to short SMCI all the way up. They've been trying to short NVIDIA all the way up. Has not played out well. Eventually, sure. You know, SMCI, I believe right now is over $1,000 as I'm recording this. The pump continues, right? So, yeah, we'll see how high it can go. Congratulations if you're in it. Good Lord, I hope people are taking profits on the way up, but you never know, right? And it's the same folks, I'm sure, that are screaming, going, do I get in now? Maybe it's a good time to get in. Hey, maybe it is. That's up to you, but I would be good. Just set that one. It's going up a lot. It's going up a lot. All right. And so, yeah, again, hope it goes to $1 million for you. Anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Hit that like and subscribe button if you did. And I'll see you tomorrow to close it up. Put your questions in the comments, and I'll do Saturday's video as well. Sunday's video I will not do, because I'll do it on Monday because the market's closed on Monday. Just keep that in mind. So have a good one, guys.